Nurse staffing agency versus caregiver agency. Which one is better? Starting a healthcare-related business can be both incredibly rewarding and daunting. With an ever-growing demand for care, there are many opportunities for entrepreneurs. But one question always lingers. Should you start a nurse staffing agency or a caregiver agency? To some, the distinction may seem minor, but ask any expert, and they'll tell you these are two very different beasts. In this video, we'll unpack the pros and cons of both models, guide you through the typical challenges, and share real stories to help you decide which path to take. Is there a clear winner? Let's start with a reality check. Both businesses can be highly profitable, but only if they're run properly. Each has its own intricacies and challenges. Here's the kicker. Nurse staffing agencies typically bring in more revenue, but they also come with higher compliance requirements. On the other hand, caregiver agencies might be easier to manage, but their services tend to be less lucrative. Don't worry about what to do and where to go after watching this video. All the links to everything mentioned will be in the description below. But don't worry, we'll cover all of that. So whether you're looking for high revenue or simplicity, by the end of this video, you'll know which option is best for you. Be sure to subscribe for more tips on running your healthcare business. Now, let's dive in. In this video, we're going to cover 1. The main differences between nurse staffing and caregiver agencies. 2. The pros and cons of running each type of business. 3. The typical challenges you might face and how to solve them. 4. Real stories from business owners in the field. 5. Key takeaways and a final verdict on which option might be better suited for you. Understanding the basics. Nurse staffing versus caregiver agency. Before we get into which is better, let's first define the difference between a nurse staffing agency and a caregiver agency. A nurse staffing agency provides RNs, or registered nurses, LPNs, or licensed practical nurses, and sometimes CNAs, certified nursing assistants to healthcare facilities like hospitals, nursing homes, and clinics. These agencies are crucial for healthcare organizations that need short-term or long-term staffing solutions. Many people see nurse staffing agencies as lucrative because healthcare facilities are willing to pay top dollar for skilled nurses. But don't be fooled. It comes with a higher level of complexity, including meeting strict regulations and compliance standards. On the other hand, a caregiver agency provides non-medical care to individuals, often in their homes. Caregivers help with daily living activities like bathing, meal preparation, and companionship. Caregivers usually don't need to be licensed nurses, which reduces the overhead for running this type of agency. While a caregiver agency might seem like an easier business model to operate, it usually generates less revenue per client compared to a nurse staffing agency. Now, let's talk about the pros and cons of nurse staffing agencies. 1. High revenue potential. Hospitals and other healthcare institutions pay a premium for nurses, especially during staffing shortages. 2. Variety of clients. You can serve hospitals, nursing homes, rehab centers, and more, which gives you diverse revenue streams. 3. Essential service. The need for nurses will never go away, and it tends to increase during times of crisis, like the pandemic. Cons are 1. High compliance requirements. From OSHA to HIPAA, you'll need to follow a slew of healthcare regulations. 2. Skilled worker shortage. Nurses are in high demand, and it can be tough to find enough skilled staff to meet the needs of your clients. 3. Complex payroll. Nurses typically work irregular hours, which means you need an efficient payroll system to manage everything from overtime to different pay rates. Pros and cons of caregiver agencies. Pros: 1. Lower startup costs. You don't need to hire licensed professionals, and the overhead is typically lower. 2. Steady demand. The aging population means more people need home care services, which ensures steady demand for caregivers. 3. Less regulatory burden. While still regulated, caregiver agencies don't face the same rigorous standards as nurse staffing agencies. Cons are 1. Lower revenue per client. Clients pay less for non-medical services, so you need more clients to make a significant profit. 2. High turnover. Caregiver jobs can be physically and emotionally demanding, which leads to high turnover rates. 3. Client expectations. Families often have high expectations but a limited budget, which can create challenges when it comes to providing top-notch service. Common problems in nurse staffing and caregiver agencies and how to solve them. 1. Staff retention. Both industries struggle with high turnover, but the issue is particularly severe in caregiver agencies. Low pay and burnout are often the main reasons. Solution: create a strong company culture. One agency I came across in an online forum shared how they reduced turnover by offering flexible schedules and personal development opportunities for their staff. They didn't just provide jobs, they created a supportive work environment. Another nurse staffing agency I researched started offering wellness programs to help combat burnout. 2. Compliance and regulations. Nurse staffing agencies are bound by strict healthcare regulations, which can be a nightmare for new business owners to navigate. Solution: hire a compliance expert. Several successful agency owners emphasize the importance of having a compliance officer or working closely with healthcare attorneys. It's worth every penny, said one agency owner in a forum discussion I read. The fines you risk from non-compliance can be devastating. 3. Finding clients. Whether you're running a nurse staffing agency or a caregiver agency, finding clients can be tough in the beginning. Solution: networking is key. One caregiver agency owner shared how they networked with local hospitals and assisted living facilities to build a steady stream of referrals. Others use social media ads effectively. For nurse staffing agencies, partnering with healthcare networks can provide long-term contracts. 4. Payroll and cash flow issues. Both types of agencies often deal with delayed payments, especially when working with large institutions or insurance providers. Solution: consider offering early payment discounts to incentivize clients to pay faster. Another option is using factoring services, which allow you to sell your invoices for quick cash. I came across a forum where a nurse staffing agency owner, let's call her Maria, shared her story. Maria started her agency after realizing that hospitals in her area were desperate for qualified nurses. While she managed to secure some initial contracts, she quickly learned that managing payroll was a huge challenge. Nurses would work odd hours, and keeping track of everything became a nightmare. Eventually, she invested in specialized software, and now her agency runs smoothly. In contrast, David, who runs a caregiver agency, found that while he didn't face the same payroll complexities, his biggest challenge was caregiver burnout. In a forum post, he shared how his company started offering mental health support and paid time off for his caregivers, which greatly improved retention. Which one is better? So, is a nurse staffing agency better than a caregiver agency? Well, that depends on what you're looking for. If you want higher revenue potential and don't mind the complexity of healthcare regulations, a nurse staffing agency might be your best bet. But if you prefer a business with lower startup costs and less compliance headaches, a caregiver agency could be the right choice. Both models have their own set of challenges, but with the right strategies in place, both can be highly rewarding. So here's a recap of what you should know. Nurse staffing agencies offer higher revenue potential, but come with more complexity, especially in terms of compliance. Caregiver agencies are easier to start, but tend to bring in less revenue per client. Both types of agencies face common issues such as high turnover, finding clients, and managing payroll. Networking, compliance expertise, and building a strong company culture are key to overcoming these challenges. Now that you've got a better understanding of the differences between a nurse staffing agency and a caregiver agency, it's time to make a choice. Which model fits your business goals and lifestyle? Be sure to subscribe to Medical CEO Academy for more tips on running your healthcare business. Stay curious, stay resourceful, and, most importantly, stay informed. See you in the next video.